quick rundown. What's done to this?
Downpipe, up-pipe, EWG, catback, injectors, fuel pump, intercooler, turbo, intake, turbo adapter, some more shit.
Cool, let's go drive. ...2019 Subaru STI. So the STI, it runs, I promise. Just for those of you that have driven regular Imprezas, the STI is a completely different car. I've driven my friend's Impreza that's like a stock like 2.0, wow, sorry. The stock 2.0, a mom Impreza that's automatic and has a CVT. The interior and the exterior of that car feel completely different. It's almost like it's a different manufacturer. So STI, Subaru Technica International, that is what that stands for those of you that don't know, definitely shows in this car more than it has in other STIs that I've driven. Those do definitely feel like an economy car that's been dressed up. This actually does feel like somewhat of a middle market car, and it would definitely play around with Audis and Mercedes of the lots, or of the like. Audis and Mercedes the like? I don't know. I'm bilingual. Give me a break. At least I can swear at people in 2 languages.
Give them a show.
No. That's an eco mode? Yeah. So we're in eco mode right now because I forgot that the newer STIs have different driving modes.
Technically intelligent.
Technically intelligent,
That's
okay.
the mode.
Right, so we're in eco mode, technically intelligent mode, because it's called I mode. I don't know what's so intelligent about it because your neighbors still hate it when it turns on. And you're still a menace to society because of the... It's all the time?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love being a menace to society. Downshift. Does it crackle if I do the thing? Oh! The steering on this car is 10% less tight, 15% less tight than the Evo, which personally I like because I am one that likes to drive luxury cars. This STI, the 2019 STI, is much more comfortable. I would definitely take this on a longer road trip. Even though it does have aftermarket suspension, it actually rides very nice. Okay. The turbo in this car is a Dominator 1.5, and the engine designation, for those of you that don't know, is EJ257. It is indeed STI. But the newer STIs apparently have a little bit more to them. That's a lot of drone. Because they've been able to handle a lot more power without being upgraded to forged internals, and it's just what has been seen at Brent Tuning, which this car was tuned at Brent Tuning in Massachusetts, and it did make 380 some odd wheel horsepower to the wheels. So we could easily say that this is making somewhere around like the 420s, 430s at the crank because of the drivetrain loss. That's a pretty good engine block. I have a lot of faith in this specific engine because a lot of Subarus, as we all know, are, you know, people talk about sob stories, but Subarus tend to blow up even more than those do. This will probably be the grand new beginning to a new line of Subaru that doesn't explode, literally by looking at it the wrong way. Driving this car around is pretty much big toe everywhere if you're trying to conserve any gas or energy and not be spooled on the turbo, because although it is a larger turbo, it's still like very well sized for this engine, and it just wants to go. If you're anywhere near 3,000 RPM, which we are right now, and you go over 10% throttle, it just like... Cornering in this car? Ooh, okay, that's a weird feeling. The car itself, mechanically, feels very capable. Like, I probably was pushing like 20% of what it's capable of right there, not even. However, the steering has electronic rack and pinion steering, and I just felt it in my hand because as I was turning, it was giving me a little bit of feedback, a little bit of nothing, a little bit of feedback, and it would just turn on, off, on, off. If you're doing just regular turns, like I'm on a curve right now, you don't feel a difference.
I can vouch for its turning at 99 miles an hour around the
almost love this steering wheel. The only gripe I have about it is that it has a little bit too much going on at 9 and 3, so I can't get a full grip around it. I'm gonna give like 8.5 out of 10. If they made that a little bit thinner on the 9 and 3, definitely I would love that. This is a little bit more of a nice interior. Creature comforts, heated seats. The steering wheel feels a little bit more soft on the hands, like in the sense of a nice carpet that you just bought for way too much money, which is something that you learn once you're an adult. So all 17-year-olds that are watching this, carpets are expensive, just letting you know that. Welcome to Manny's Carpet Reviews. The turn-in of this car, amazing. Steering feel, a little off in some areas, which is kind of like, you know, how most of my ex-relationships went to. The elephant in the room for this one is that this car is such a clout chaser that people don't even take them seriously anymore. However, I personally think this car could be very competitive, especially on local roads. Like, if you want to do highway pulls, this car would definitely beat other Subarus. Like, what I mean by that is that other Subarus will get to about 100 miles per hour and start to fall on their face. I feel like this would be the one to just keep pulling. What? Wow, dude. This sounds like a damn gun. That is a loud exhaust.
It's obnoxious back there.
Alex just told me that the drone is really bad in the back of the car. Alex, put this in the back of the car for a second. That's just normal driving, but... Is it loud back there?
Oh yeah.
Other than a cat and some bends, this does have an aftermarket up pipe, down pipe, every other pipe, and it just lays pipe, and it's really loud.
So I couldn't get it over, you just...
That sounds like a fucking gun.
Yeah, a little bit like
But I mean, it's loud for what you would expect a car like this to be like inside. In fact, the owner of this car rode in my Saab last night, and he was like, wow, it's nice to be in something quiet for once. And I was like, what are you talking about? Now I know. Alright, we should put this thing in sport mode at some point. Oh my god!
louder.
The body style of this car took a while to grow on me when it first came out because of the C-pillars. From the outside at a 60-degree angle of view looking at them, it kind of had this like Honda Civic look to it, only in that one section of it, and that was when they first came out. This has probably one of my favorite paint jobs I've seen on a car ever. It's this beautiful white diamond paint, which is shimmery and has a little bit of flake in it, but not gaudy. Tyler has made a bunch of exterior mods to this car, one of which I did help him with, which was the rear, what do you call those things? We put rear fucks on the rear wing. With the STI wing and the external mods that Tyler has done to this car as well, and the lowering and everything else, you don't even like look at that. You look at the whole car as a whole and you're like, wow, it's definitely a 40 grand car, which is more like a 60 grand car now that Tyler has made it fast. That is the thing with Subarus, is that if you're gonna buy one of these, be prepared to spend the money. The wheel setup on this car is an 18x9 square setup. Your Enkei RS05RR.
Yeah.
It's got Hankook tires on it. They feel very capable. Nice.
Jesus, you can need new brakes.
Brakes are actually great on this thing. As you can tell from the whatever that is sitting behind me. You guys hear a noise back there? Because I don't know what the hell that was. Apparently the brakes are good. The brake chime came on in the back, as you guys might have heard. It sounds angry, like it just wants to be going fast all the time. But the actual feel, like on my butt dyno right now, feels like it's okay to drive this thing normally too. Couple gripes I have. Transmission is a little bit difficult for me personally to get used to because it is a 6-speed, not a 5-speed, and I've been driving 5 speeds my whole life. And it's a little bit hard to find 4th gear if you're downshifting from 5th, just because it's just a different setup. The clutch is easy to drive, and it was, in my opinion, actually easier to utilize it when it was stock as well, because it was basically just auto creep.
Bolt on. Yeah, you take the fucking e-brake off.
STIs do hold value like no tomorrow. They're almost better than a diesel truck. I've seen a lot of turboed Subarus being sold for like 10 grand, 11, 12 grand, and it's always like needs engine or needs transmission. I wouldn't pay that. If I were to buy an STI, I wouldn't buy secondhand. I would honestly just go and buy one brand new, which is what Tyler did, and I think it's actually the best possible scenario because you know everything that's been done to this car, you know how this car has been treated, you know everything about it. STIs that are secondhand, you know that they have been beat.
Hashtag Bebop Parker.
Hey, you guys want to see a Golf R review? So the 2019 STI in iDrive feels like that good friend that, you know, you can always just go to and they'll be very reliable, but they'll always be a good performance too. Like, you want to talk about cool shit? That's it. You want to go do like a small adventure? iDrive. SI Drive definitely has a couple too many daddy issues, but man, is she fun. Like, it's not scary in the sense of, oh, is this gonna break? But it's definitely scary in the sense of, am I going to jail tonight or tomorrow morning after they figure out whose car that was? Fun rating for this car, an 8.7 out of 10. It's missing a couple points because I'm a little bit afraid of driving it too aggressively, because I know that these are some of those engines that you can accidentally hurt. So that's something to bear in mind when you're driving a turboed Subaru. Turning radius on this car, great, way better than I was expecting, especially with all-wheel drive too. Like, you don't expect cars with front axles to have a great turning radius, but this, no problem. Should you buy an STI? Well, it depends. Do you have both parents and are in high school? If so, your parents should buy you an STI, because that seems to be what happens with everyone. If you don't have both parents, or you are not in high school, or you're a self-reliant person, you should still buy whatever you want because it's your money and you can do what you want with it. Don't let people tell you what you can do and you can't do. Do I recommend this car? Absolutely, if you want to drive something comfortably. Is it a daily? Yes and no. It depends on how nice you want to keep it. If you're someone that likes to use cars and you don't really care if it gets a couple dings here and there, fine. Buy a WRX. If you're someone that does care about that stuff, grab the STI. Which, by the way, video on WRX coming soon. Stay tuned for it. Also, thank you, Tyler, very much for letting me drive your car and not vaping so much.
It's dead.
What?
It died.
It died! Subaru, the official car of my Jewel, died.